Chosen one, take a deep breath and pay close attention to the weight pressing against your chest right now. That restlessness keeping you awake while the rest of the world sleeps is not your enemy. God wants you to know that what you are feeling is not anxiety, it is the thunder lag. Think of a massive storm where you see the lightning flash across the sky, but silence follows for a few seconds before the ground begins to shake. The Lord led you to this moment because the lightning of your breakthrough has already struck in the spirit realm. The decree is signed, the miracle is released, and what you are living through in these specific hours is just the brief silence before the thunder of His blessing arrives to transform your reality. You are not watching this by accident or some random algorithm. You are here because your spirit sensed the lightning before your eyes could see the flash. But listen to me carefully, because the wait is over. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the arrival protocol, the specific spiritual mechanics you must use to navigate these final hours. We are going to activate the vacuum law to create space for the miraculous and set the Gatekeeper Protocol to stop the enemy from stealing your harvest at the very last second. If you walk away now, you might see the lightning, but you will absolutely miss the thunder. Stay with me until the final seal is set, because your timeline is collapsing and the hours are shrinking. I know exactly what your last 24 hours have looked like. You have been swinging between extreme hope and a crushing heaviness that feels like you are drowning. You have been staring at the ceiling fans at 3 a.m., checking your phone, your emails, and your bank account, looking for any sign of change. But all you see is an empty screen, and a voice in your head whispers that you are delusional, that God has forgotten your address. Notice your hands right now. Are they clenched? That knot in your stomach is not fear, it is a spiritual contraction. Just like a mother feels pain right before the birth, your spirit is contracting because something massive is pushing its way from the invisible into the visible. The intensity of this pressure is the ultimate proof of how close your delivery is. The enemy wants you to call this a panic attack, so you will numb the feeling and go back to sleep. But God is saying, do not numb this feeling. It is the signal that the wait is finished. However, here is the trap that destroys most chosen ones right at the finish line. You have been told your whole life that faith means waiting quietly and having patience. I am here to tell you that in this specific window of time, being passive is dangerous. If a delivery driver is knocking at your door with a life-changing package, do you sit on the couch and say you are practicing patience? No, you get up and you open the door. Patience is for the planting season, but this is the harvest season. And in the harvest, you do not wait, you move. The Bible speaks of the sons of Issachar who understood the times and knew exactly what to do. They didn't just sit there, they identified the Kairos moment and they acted. Passive waiting right now is actually spiritual disobedience. What God is demanding from you in these next few hours is not patience, it is preparation. A patient person sits back, but a prepared person leans forward. A patient person hopes it happens, but a prepared person makes room for it to happen. This brings us to the first law of the arrival protocol, and looking at your spirit, I see a major blockage. You are asking for a king to enter your house, but your house is full of clutter. You are praying for the new, but your hands are still gripping the old so tight that your knuckles are turning white. There is an ancient spiritual law called the vacuum law. It states that God cannot fill a space that is already full. If you want the thunder of blessing to land in your life within hours, you have to clear the runway immediately. I'm not talking about a metaphor. I am talking about urgent physical action that signals to heaven that you are open for business. Because if the blessing arrives and finds no room, it will bounce off your life and go to someone who actually made space. We are about to clear that runway in the spirit and in the natural, because the king is not just coming, he is at the door. As we move into the specific steps of the vacuum protocol, You need to understand that your physical environment is a direct reflection of your spiritual capacity. The first and most critical framework of the arrival protocol is simple yet terrifying. You cannot receive what you do not have room for. If your hands are full of yesterday, they cannot catch tomorrow. If your house is full of stagnation, the king cannot enter. You are praying for a supernatural shift within hours, yet your physical and mental environment is signaling to God that you are content with the status quo. Let me take you deeper into the word to prove this. You have heard Malachi 3:1. It says, "And the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple." You love that word, suddenly. You are clinging to it right now, but you are reading it in English, and you are missing the instruction hidden in the original Hebrew. The Hebrew word for suddenly is pitum. It describes an event that happens instantly, aggressively, and unexpectedly, like the blink of an eye. That is the thunder you are waiting for. But look at the first half of the verse. Before the pitum, before the suddenly, God says, "Behold, I send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me." Do you see the order? The preparation happens in chronological time so that the arrival can happen in sudden time. The vacuum must be created before the rush of wind can fill it. You are waiting for the suddenly, but God is waiting for the preparation. He is asking, is the runway clear? So right now, we are going to clear the runway. Since you cannot physically move while you are listening to this, we are going to perform the 3-hour vacuum protocol in the spirit first. I want you to use your imagination as a high-definition scanner. In your mind's eye, walk through the front door of your house. Look around. Identify one specific area that is cluttered. Maybe it is that pile of papers on the kitchen table. Maybe it is the clothes piled on the chair in the corner. Maybe it is your messy wallet stuffed with old, useless receipts. Do not just look at it. Feel the heavy, stagnant energy coming off that mess. That clutter is not just dirt, it is delayed energy. It is a physical block in your spiritual artery. Right now in your mind, I want you to mark that spot. Put a mental red flag on it and make a covenant with God right now. Say in your spirit, "Lord, as soon as this message ends, I will clear that space. I will create a physical vacuum in that corner to prove I am ready for the new. That clean spot will be the landing strip for my blessing." Now shift your focus to the device you are holding or listening to. This is the second layer of the vacuum, your digital space. Your phone is the portal through which bad news travels, but it is also the portal for the good news you are expecting within hours. But right now, it is clogged. It is full of old conversations that drain you, screenshots of things you cannot afford, and notifications from apps that steal your peace. Visualize your phone in your hand. Imagine a holy fire burning through the digital noise. Delete the old text thread with that person who constantly brings you down. Unsubscribe from the marketing emails that make you feel poor. Turn off the notifications that trigger your anxiety. You are signaling to the spiritual realm that this device is no longer a toy for distraction, but a tool for reception. You are dedicating this channel for the news of your breakthrough. When you create a physical vacuum, nature rushes to fill it. When you create a spiritual vacuum, heaven rushes to fill it. By marking these spots in your mind and committing to clear them, you have just shifted the pressure. You have turned the anxiety of waiting into the authority of preparing. You are no longer a victim hoping for a lucky break. You are a host preparing the guest room for a royal visitor. But listen to me carefully. We have cleared the physical room. We have cleared the digital room. But there is a third room, the most dangerous one, the room where the real blockage is hiding. You can have a spotless house and an empty inbox, but if this specific piece of debris is still lodged in your chest, the door will remain locked. It is invisible trash. It is sharper than glass, and it is buried so deep in your heart that you might not even know it is there. It is the one thing that can sabotage this entire arrival protocol if we do not remove it right now. That invisible trash is the trauma of hope. I need to speak to the part of you that is actually terrified that this might be real. There is a voice in the back of your head right now, and I am going to expose it so it loses its power over you. It is whispering, "What if I get my hopes up again and nothing happens? What if I look like a fool? What if I am just the boy who cried wolf, but the wolf is actually a blessing that never comes?" You are afraid to fully commit to the vacuum law because you have been hurt by the word soon before. You have cleared the runway in the past and no plane landed. So now you keep a little bit of clutter, a little bit of doubt, just to protect your heart from the crash of disappointment. But hear me, the reason you faced delays in the past was not because God was teasing you. It was because your capacity was not yet wide enough to hold the weight of what He is sending. If He had answered you 3 years ago, the blessing would have crushed you. But now, the very fact that you are scared is proof that you understand the magnitude of what is coming. Only someone who knows a tsunami is approaching respects the ocean. Your fear is actually a form of respect for the glory that is about to hit your life. If you are ready to let go of that trauma and expand your heart, the oil of the Lord is ready to flow, but it needs an empty vessel. I want to prove to you that the vacuum law works even when you are down to the final seconds of your crisis. Let me tell you about a chosen one named David. This is a real situation that happened not long ago, a story of a man standing on the edge of a total collapse. It was a Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. David had a hard deadline at noon to pay exactly $4,800, or he would lose the contract that was the foundation of his entire business. He checked his account. He had exactly $40. He had prayed, he had fasted, he had asked everyone he knew. Nothing. At 8 a.m., the panic set in like a physical weight. He was pacing his small home office, heart hammering against his ribs, watching the clock tick away his future. 8:15, 8:30, every minute felt like a judge's gavel hitting the bench. He sat down to write an email of defeat, admitting failure and begging for an extension he knew wouldn't come. But then, something shifted in his spirit. He remembered the vacuum law. He looked around his office and realized it was a total disaster zone. Old invoices, empty coffee cups, tangled wires everywhere. He realized his physical environment was screaming chaos, so his spiritual environment could not receive order. At 9 a.m., instead of sending that email of defeat, David did something completely illogical to the natural mind. He stood up and started cleaning. He threw away the old papers. He wiped down the desk until it shined. He organized every wire. He deleted the draft email that said, "I cannot pay." He opened a new document and typed a thank you letter to God for the provision that hadn't arrived yet. He created a clean, empty space on his desk and said out loud, "This is where the answer lands." Now look at the ancient evidence in 2 Kings chapter 4. There is a widow about to lose her sons to a creditor. She needs a miracle immediately. The prophet Elisha tells her to go borrow empty vessels from her neighbors. "Do not borrow a few," he says. "Borrow many." She shuts the door and starts pouring her tiny jar of oil into those empty vessels. The oil flows and flows. It fills the first jar, the 10th, the 20th, but then something haunting happens. The Bible says when the vessels were full, she asked for another, and her son said, "There is not one vessel left." And the moment the space ran out, the oil stopped. Listen to me. The oil did not run out because God ran out of power. The oil stopped because the woman ran out of empty space. The limitation was not the supply from heaven. The limitation was the vacuum on earth. Back to David. It is now 11:30 a.m., only 30 minutes left until the deadline. His desk is spotless. His spirit is trembling, but his environment is ready. He sits in the silence of his clean room, no longer begging, but waiting in the vacuum. At 11:42 a.m., 18 minutes before the end, his phone pings. It wasn't a lottery win. It was a notification of a tax rebate from 3 years ago that had been stuck in a bureaucratic error. The amount was $5,200. The vacuum he created pulled the loose ends of his past into the provision of his present. David didn't get the money because he was lucky. He got it because he stopped broadcasting the frequency of chaos and started broadcasting the frequency of readiness. So, chosen one, I have to ask you, if the oil started flowing right now, where would it go? Is your vessel full of doubt? Is it full of plan B and plan C? If your internal vessel is full of noise, the oil of the Lord has nowhere to enter. Right now, we are going to do a spiritual act to expand your capacity. You are likely holding tension in your stomach or shoulders. That tension is your vessel shrinking to protect itself. I want you to see your fear not as a wall, but as the stretching of a balloon. When air is blown in, the rubber stretches thin. It feels like it might pop. That feeling that you cannot handle any more pressure, that is not you breaking. That is your capacity increasing. In your mind's eye, see that dark stone of fear in your chest. Now, imagine a light breaking out from the center, shattering it, and pushing the walls of your spirit outward. Breathe in. Feel yourself getting bigger on the inside. You are making room for an oversized blessing that is arriving within hours. If you are ready to expand, I want you to make a declaration right now. If you can, type it in the comments or say it in your spirit. I am making room. This is your signal to the universe that you are not shrinking back in fear, but stretching forward in faith. You have cleared the space. You have expanded the vessel. But be warned, the moment you become prepared, you trigger a high-level security alarm in the enemy's camp, and the atmosphere is about to get much heavier. Do not panic if the atmosphere around you suddenly feels heavier than it did 10 minutes ago. If your phone is buzzing with nonsense, or your mind is flooded with a random memory of a past failure, listen to me. This is not a sign that you have failed. This is the most critical sign of all. You have just triggered a security alarm in the spirit realm. The enemy has realized that you are no longer just waiting. You are prepared. And because you are prepared, he has dispatched a specific interference frequency to scramble your signal. The reason you feel this sudden wave of heaviness trying to crush your hope is not because something is wrong with you. It is because you have finally understood the nature of the battle. You think the enemy is attacking you because you are weak, but that is a lie. The enemy is not attacking you. He is attacking the delivery. You are not the target. You are the destination. When a bank truck is robbed on the highway, the thieves do not hate the driver. They want the gold in the back of the truck. The intensity of the attack on your life right now is a direct measurement of the value of the package that is only hours away from your door. If the truck was empty, the road would be clear. Let's look at the spiritual mechanics in Daniel chapter 10. Daniel had been fasting and praying for 21 days, feeling ignored and exhausted. But when the angel finally arrived, he revealed a secret that changes everything. The angel said, "From the first day that you set your heart to understand, your words were heard." The delay was not in the dispatch. God released the answer the moment Daniel prayed. The delay was in the delivery. The prince of Persia, a high-ranking spiritual entity, blocked the path for 21 days. While Daniel thought God was silent, swords were clashing in the invisible realm because the answer was so dangerous to the enemy's kingdom that he sent his highest generals to stop it. Chosen One, apply this to your situation right now. The pressure you feel is the shockwave of a battle happening just above your head. Because this breakthrough is going to break generational curses in your bloodline, the enemy has set up a blockade at the threshold of your house. He is trying to intercept the angel before he can ring your doorbell. In these final hours, the enemy is using desperate, last-minute confrontation tactics designed to make you abandon your post 5 minutes before the relief arrives. The first form is the distraction bomb. This is when things in your physical world start breaking for no reason. The car won't start, the washing machine floods, or your spouse picks a fight over something meaningless. This is not bad luck. It is a smoke grenade. The enemy wants you so frustrated by petty fires that you miss the arrival of the king. Handle the issue if you must, but keep your spirit detached. Tell the enemy, "I see what you are doing, but my eyes are staying on the horizon." The second form is the sudden doubt. It comes as a whisper that sounds like your own voice late at night. You are crazy for believing this. Remember the last time you got your hopes up? This attack is designed to make you abort the miracle by agreeing with the lie. Do not argue with logic. You fight a spiritual lie with history. Remind yourself of what God told you when the light was clear. The third form is the false option. This is the most dangerous because it looks like a blessing. Just as you are waiting for your breakthrough, the enemy sends a predatory loan or a shady business deal that promises quick cash but steals your integrity. He wants you to eat junk food so you ruin your appetite for the banquet God is preparing. If an opportunity requires you to compromise your peace, reject it. It is a decoy. We have exposed the loud attacks, but the enemy still has silent assassins waiting in the shadows of your heart. If we do not identify them now, they will steal your joy at the very moment of impact. You have secured the perimeter, but now we must guard the throne room of your soul against the subtle killers of comparison and isolation. The distraction, the doubt, and the false option are the loud attacks, and they are easy to spot if you are paying attention. But there are silent assassins that the enemy uses when the loud noise fails. These are subtle internal traps that sneak into your heart without you even noticing, and they are far more deadly because they feel like your own emotions. I am about to expose the invisible killers that take out most chosen ones right at the finish line. The fourth form is the comparison attack. In these critical hours, your social media feed or a conversation with a friend will suddenly show you someone else getting exactly what you have been praying for. You will see them celebrating their breakthrough, and a bitter root will try to spring up in your chest. You will think, "I have been faithful longer than them. Why them and not me?" This is a trap. The enemy wants you to shift your eyes from your own lane to theirs, because if you look sideways, you slow down. Their harvest has nothing to do with your seed. Bless them quickly and look back at your own road. The fifth form is the isolation pressure. As the arrival gets closer, you will feel a sudden, intense loneliness. You will feel like nobody understands the burden you are carrying. You will be tempted to call people, to explain yourself, or to seek validation. But the more you try to explain, the more confused they will look. This isolation is not a punishment. It is a quarantine. God is separating you because what He is about to download is for your ears only. Do not try to force people into a room that God has locked for your protection. The sixth form is the premature celebration. This is very subtle. You might get a small win in the next hour, a partial breakthrough, or a small amount of money, and you will be tempted to stop pressing, thinking the arrival has happened. Do not settle for the appetizer. The enemy wants you to eat the breadcrumbs so you are too full for the banquet. Receive the small win with thanks, but stay at your post. The main event is still coming, and the seventh, most deadly form is identity confusion. Right before the breakthrough, something will happen that makes you feel like your old self. You will snap at someone, you will have a bad thought, or you will make a mistake, and the enemy will scream, "See, you haven't changed. You are not a chosen one. You are a fraud." He wants you to identify with your stumble instead of your standing. But listen to me, a stumble at the finish line does not disqualify the runner. It just means you need to fall forward across the line. Now that you see the 7 assassins, how do you stop them? You cannot fight them all one by one. You would be exhausted. You need a system. You need framework number 2, the Gatekeeper Protocol. There is a powerful precedent for this in the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. The work was almost done. The breakthrough was imminent, and his enemies sent him a message saying, "Come down, let us meet together in the villages." They didn't attack him with swords. They attacked him with a meeting. They wanted to distract him. And Nehemiah sent a message back in Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 3. That is your mantra for the next few hours. I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and go down to you? He did not argue. He did not fight. He simply refused to leave his high place. The Gatekeeper Protocol is the refusal to come down. It is the spiritual discipline of staying on the wall of your expectation, no matter who is calling your name from the valley of distraction. This protocol has 2 rules: input control and output control. Input control means you protect your eyes and ears. If a song comes on the radio that makes you sad, change it instantly. If a news headline makes you fearful, scroll past it. You are guarding the atmosphere of your spirit. But the most critical part is output control. And this is where I need you to apply the weapon of silence. In physics, a boiler creates power by building pressure. If you open the valve and let the steam escape, the engine loses power. Right now, God is building spiritual pressure inside you to birth a miracle. Every time you pick up the phone to gossip, every time you vent your frustration to a friend, or every time you complain about the weight, you are opening the valve. You are leaking the steam. You are killing the momentum of your own miracle. Silence is not just about not talking, it is about containment. It is about holding the holy pressure inside until it transforms into manifestation. Mary, the mother of Jesus, pondered things in her heart. She didn't live stream her pregnancy. She contained the glory. I want you to perform a mental action with me right now. In your mind's eye, imagine you are standing at the gate of your mouth. Visualize a heavy, golden seal being placed over your lips. It is stamped with the king's signet ring. This seal has a command written on it. Only decrees pass here. Make a covenant with yourself for the rest of this day. Tell your spirit, I will not speak doubt. I will not speak complaint. I will not speak fear. If I cannot speak life, I will hold my peace. Feel the power of that containment. It might feel uncomfortable, like you are about to burst. Good. Let that pressure build. That is the energy God is using to propel the answer toward you. You have cleared the space, and you have sealed the gates. Now we must tune your internal radio to the only frequency where the miracle, oracle, can be heard. Now you have secured the perimeter like a fortress. But there is one final shift we must make inside the castle of your heart. We need to install framework number 3, the frequency anchor. This is the physics of the spirit realm. God is constantly broadcasting on the frequency of "it is done." His signal is always sending provision, healing, and total breakthrough. But most chosen ones are stuck broadcasting on the frequency of "please help me." You cannot catch a signal on 101.5 FM if your radio is tuned to 98.5 FM. As long as your internal emotional state is screaming need and lack, you are on a different wavelength than the answer. The answer is floating right past you, but your receiver is broken. We need to manually override your internal radio right now. We need to shift you from the frequency of begging to the frequency of gratitude. I do not mean saying thank you for what you already have. I mean saying thank you for what is coming as if it is already in your hand. The Apostle Paul gave us the blueprint for this technology. In Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, he says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." And then comes the promise. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. That word guard in the Greek is phrourio. It means to station armed soldiers around a city. When you mix your request with thanksgiving, God sends a military detachment of peace to stand guard around your mind. So, how do we install this anchor? Right now, we are going to do a somatic shift. Bring your attention to the center of your chest, to the area of your heart. Your heart might be beating fast right now. That is the rhythm of anticipation. I want you to consciously slow down your breathing. As you breathe, imagine that your heart is a radio receiver. With every exhale, imagine you are turning the dial away from the static of fear. With every inhale, you are locking onto the clear signal of "it is already done." Feel that shift, that loosening in your jaw. That is the phrourio, the military piece taking its post. Now, from this place of calm, identify the specific thing you are waiting for. Do not ask for it. Instead, in the silence of your heart, say, "Thank you." Feel the relief of having it. If you felt that click, I want you to type "I am tuned in the comments. Signal to the universe that your receiver is active. But wait! The enemy is pointing to the clock on the wall and whispering, "It is too late. The day is almost over." Chosen one, look at me. You have not missed anything. You are measuring your life by chronos, man's time. But God operates in kairos. Chronos is the ticking of the second hand, the anxiety that says if it does not happen by 5 p.m., it is over. But kairos is not about minutes. It is about moments. It is not defined by duration. It is defined by alignment. In kairos, one phone call can erase a lifetime of debt. God is not late. He is precise. Think about a baker. If he pulls the cake out 1 minute too early, the center is raw and it collapses. God is saying, I am not withholding the blessing. I am finishing the bake. He is the God of the 11th hour. He waited until the Israelites could hear the chariots behind them before he parted the Red Sea. He waited until Lazarus was dead for 4 days so that nobody could deny the glory. Your situation feels dead? Good. That means you are right on schedule for a Red Sea moment. The heaviness is not the end. It is the stage being set. So stop looking at the clock and start looking at the door. The shift is not coming from time. It is coming from eternity. Chosen one, we are standing at the finish line of your waiting season. The waiting is over, and the engagement has officially begun. You have diagnosed the symptom, applied the vacuum law, and anchored your frequency in the finished work of God. Now there is nothing left to do but walk in the authority of a general who has already won the battle. The lesson today is simple. God's precision is greater than your deadline. When you make room, He fills it. When you silence the doubt, He speaks the breakthrough. Do not let the enemy pull you down to the valley of chatter. Stay on the wall of your expectation. Within hours, your physical reality will catch up to the spiritual decree. It is finished. Go and receive what is yours. If you felt the shift in your spirit and believe your breakthrough is arriving within hours, comment 999 below to seal it. If you feel there's something I can improve to make these messages more powerful for you, please press 0 in the comments. I value your feedback to serve you better. Or simply share your thoughts and perspectives so we can grow this community of chosen ones together. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now. It gives me the strength and motivation to keep bringing you these strategic blueprints for your spiritual journey.